For the past papers on the ground and back away slowly, this is how I studied for GCSE maths, and this is how I would do it if I had to do it again. The first thing you want to do is take an audit of yourself, exactly what topics you know and don't know. The best way to do this is go back to any previous mocks or past papers or end of unit test that you did and have a look at what you got wrong. But if you're still unsure, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to go through exactly what topics come up in the most frequent manner so you can focus your revision. If you look on the screen right now, I have a breakdown for foundation and higher tier as a percentage of how many marks each topic gets, broken down into number, algebra, etc. So for number, I would focus on percentages because they have the largest and different number of topics inside them and they're the most frequent to come up. Things like percentage of an amount, interest, so compound and simple, etc. Algebra, you want to focus on factorizing and solving quadratics. This again is one of the most common elements to come up in the exam. For ratio, proportion and rates of change, I'd focus on compound measures. These are speed, density and pressure, as well as the other variables that are inside them. For geometry and measures, you want to focus on Pythagoras and also trigonometry because they always come up and they are very poorly answered. With trigonometry, I mean sine, cos and tan, but also for you higher tier people, sine and cosine rule as well. For statistics, I would recommend focusing on drawing and interpreting the various charts and diagrams that you get given. I know that's not very specific, but they can just give you any of them, things like pie charts, bar charts, histograms, etc. And lastly, for probability, I'd focus on Venn diagrams because they make up 20% of the total marks in your papers. Okay, great, but how do you actually study maths? How do you study the topic? Well, all you want to do is first head over to Maths Genie, I'll put the link in the description, and then go to Maths Revision, and that shows a breakdown of all of the topics into the different grades. Bear in mind, a pass is grade 4, so you need to be able to do grade 1 to 4 just to be able to pass GCSE maths. And what you want to do is look up the topic that you're looking at, let's say percentages. You click on the first one, so the lowest grade one, go through it, and if you can answer it all and it's very easy, great. Move on to the next grade or the next topic. So keep in mind that the same topics do come up in multiple grades on Maths Genie. If you get stuck, wonderful. Now you know exactly what you need to focus on. What you want to do is look at the video solutions or look at videos online or other sources of information in order to work out how to do it. And then you just repeat this for every single topic. But what happens if you run out of questions? Well, here, I would go to Corbett Maths. So if you type in Corbett Maths and then the topic name, you'll be able to find a bunch of extra questions. Normally they have a textbook exercise as well as just a practice exercise, like a worksheet. So make sure you check out both of them. But they scale in difficulty extremely well. They'll start off with very easy and they'll build up all the way to the worded problems at the end. So essentially you have unlimited questions. Okay, so what happens if you actually genuinely get really stuck? Well, the one thing I would remember is ask for help. So the one thing I would recommend in this case is probably joining the Discord where I am available to answer any questions that you may have, but so are 1,000 other students that are doing the same thing. They're either doing GCSEs or A-levels right now. You will get an answer to your question. I'd also recommend emailing any teachers or your friends as well. That can also work. And as a last resort, I'd recommend paying a tutor. But again, make sure you realize that there's tons of free resources out there. You can look stuff up, you can go on YouTube, you can join the Discord, all before you resort to paying a tutor. Tutors are important if you're very stuck and you just don't get a topic at all and you've tried everything else. Then you should get a tutor to help you go through those tricky topics. Now the key thing is here is I'm not telling you to go and, let's say on percentages, spend 6 hours doing percentages, answering 100 questions, and then that's it, you know percentages. You need to space your learning out. Doing 100 questions in one day is nowhere near as good as doing, let's say, 20 questions over the course of 5 days, because your brain works on spaced repetition. If you have to do something once, it will learn how to do it and then it will forget it because your brain is a limited space. It doesn't want to take it up with useless information. However, if you, let's say, do a couple of questions on day one, let's say 5 questions, the next day you do another 5 questions. Then you leave it 2 more days and do 5 questions. Then you leave it 6 more days and do 2 more questions. It will enter your long-term memory a lot better than it will if you do it all in one go. And this may seem a bit counterintuitive, but that means you can actually cover a few different topics each day and then just do spaced repetition with them. It is a scientifically proven method for incorporating learning, and it is something that teachers are taught to do, which is why when we give you starters, we give you random questions about different topics, because it helps recall that information for you. But that is absolutely what I recommend. Now, I do have a study planner which does incorporate this for you, but again, you can just kind of know it for yourself. So if you just have a calendar and say, I did percentages on the 1st of January, that means I need to do it on the 3rd, the 7th, and the 20th of January, and then it would be solidified in your long-term memory. And the next tip I would like to give you is when you go on Maths Genie, it's very tempting, and this is what I see a lot of students do, is starting off with the grade 1 stuff and then working their way down. Now, I get the logic because you want to keep progressing. The thing is, you probably already know the first 4 grades very, very well. Maybe 1 or 2 little subtopics, but you probably know them very well. Now, the reason why this is a bit of a waste of time is if you have a look at Maths Genie, in the first 4 grades, there's like 20, 30 different worksheets. That's going to take you a long time to do, and you're not even working at a pass grade. And realistically, you're also going to get extremely bored. Now, I'm going to say something that's probably a bit upsetting, but if your revision isn't painful, it's not really that worth it. If I gave you 100 questions on adding numbers, you could do it. It would be a lot of work, but you're not actually straining yourself. It's not really difficult, and you're not getting better at maths because of it. You need to pick topics that you struggle with. It's tempting to pick something you're good at because it makes you feel good, but it's a complete waste of time. It's the same thing if you were going to the gym. If you leave the gym and you're not tired, have you actually worked out? Have you actually improved? No, you should be dead or dying. You should be crawling out of the gym. In the same way, you should be crawling out of your seat after you finish studying. If you're doing an hour of studying, your head should hurt, okay? Because that means you're actually learning something new. If it doesn't hurt, you're not getting smarter. So I would recommend making sure that you follow along with the process that I've just said, where you pick something that you actually don't know and you learn that. This is actually why I recommend Corbett Maths as well. It's actually a really, really good website because it starts off with, so let's say the percentages question, let's say interest, it starts off with the basic skill and then it gradually gets harder, which means it does it all for you. As long as you answer the questions, it's making it harder, it's making it more strenuous on your brain. So you're learning naturally, which is really, really useful. But that is how I'd recommend doing it, and don't fall into the trap of picking something you're already good at. So that's my overall tips on exactly how you can study and how you can actually get good at maths. This does work for other subjects too, but specifically for maths. Now you might be thinking, well hang on, this doesn't seem very specific. Well, I've actually got videos coming out that's going to be specifically for foundation pupils and then specifically for people that want to get grade 8s and 9s. So watch out for those, and if you want to make sure that you get a notification on that, please make sure you subscribe. But other than that, I will see you in the next videos where I do go into much more detail with the foundation people and for the people aiming for grade 8s and 9s. But this is good if you just want to get good at maths and get a solid grade.